Welcome to the Mary D. Welch Show, hosting by Mary D. Welch.
Hello, everybody. Hi. We are back for a beautiful, wonderful Monday. Oh, I think every single day, I thank God for every single day, and this is no different. This is a beautiful day. I say a happy day. I know we have a lot going on in our world, just like your world. We have a lot going on in my world also, but I just thank God. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have the author of this wonderful book called Come Alive. His name is David Gibson, and he is our guest for today. David, are you there? He's coming in.
Here I am. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
A great day to be alive, Mary. It's a pleasure and an honor to be a guest.
Oh, David, I can tell you, as I said this, I can't tell you how many times. I'm a fan. I know we met through Periscope.
Yeah.
I can't not tell you many a days I've listened to you speak. For those that don't know who Dave is, he is a motivational speaker, but he's much more than that. Why don't you tell everybody what you do, David?
In a nutshell, I'm just an ordinary individual with an extraordinary vision. And of course, when you attach yourself to a vision that's bigger than you, then you'll start tapping into a power that you didn't know existed. But I guess to be front up as far as what I do, I run a personal development company. And what I do specifically is help individuals guarantee success for their life. And one may ask, well, what does that mean? You know, I'm a firm believer that if we can adjust our habits and develop new and empowered beliefs, then we can be in more control of our lives. And essentially everything that I do as it relates to coaching, speaking, and the programs that I have to offer essentially is wrapped around that concept of developing that mindset of success and establishing a successful lifestyle. And that's going to put you in position to create whatever life you envision for yourself.
Well, David, you're saying, you're a young man to come to these philosophies and everything about life. How did you get there?
Life, life has a way of positioning you. God has a way of placing you in your purpose. And for me, it was really just overcoming my inner conflicts and experiencing my own personal breakthroughs that really put me in this position. For so many years, I ran away from it. I was afraid of it. I neglected it. But like I mentioned, when God has a purpose on your life, he'll position you for where you need to be. And as I was going through my struggles and my challenges, I would just share the insights that I was acquiring through my own personal experiences. And I started to notice that it was impacting the lives of others. And from there, I started getting asked to speak and had to overcome my fear of speaking in front of others and my own, I guess, imposter syndrome challenges, so to speak. As I begin to navigate that and grow continuously, new opportunities begin to open up.
Well, I can tell you, now we met through Periscope, but that's not the only social media that you're on. You're on also on YouTube and Facebook. Those are the ones three I know for sure. And you're on every Monday through Friday. For me, I think it's 5 in the morning, my time.
Yeah. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Excuse me.
So when I catch your show live, I'm always excited because I'm like, okay, you got David live.
Yeah. And that's the whole purpose of what you're mentioning is our Dream Catchers Worldwide broadcast. It's a broadcast that is simply designed to help shift your perspective first thing in the morning. You know, it's a philosophy that we have that if you can win the morning, then you can win the day. And I started to notice the trend with most people. They would wake up and they would lack motivation, in many cases be discouraged because of situations that occurred the day before, or maybe afraid to step into something new. Of course, we have goals and we have dreams, but we often get in our own way. And essentially the broadcast is designed to help shift our perspective to keep things top of mind as far as what we want for our life and presenting strategies and practices and shifts that you can make in that moment to help you be effective for that particular day.
All right. Well, I know too, you have a family, you have a wife and beautiful little boys that are, and I know we're just having a conversation about when you have little ones, it's to me, I always say, this is my thoughts. The smallest person runs the house. Whoever the smallest one is,
I agree. I agree.
because that's who we cater to.
Yeah.
We don't cater to the big, we cater to the tinier, the smallest one. But
Yeah.
Two beautiful, beautiful sons. So
Thank you. Thank you.
and I've seen your wife. I know I haven't had a chance to really converse with her, but now she's known as D2, correct, on the show?
That's what I mean. She's been labeled that in many cases, but of course, she has the name of her own. It's Amanda.
I call her D2. In fact, I think I said D1, 2, 3, and 4. But it just tells you. But it's still, you have a beautiful family. So
thank you so very much. Truly blessed. Truly blessed.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know too. This I'm really excited about. I've been reading it. I didn't make it all the way through it, but I can tell you right now, when it came out, the first thing I did was order it. I said, I'm a supporter.
Yeah.
I called you. Someone asked me about who you were, and I said, well, you could say he's the present day Les Brown. That you didn't like. You know how we never knew who Les Brown was for a long time.
Uh-huh.
All of a sudden, it looked like overnight he blew up. That's who you are, David. This is powerful. It's just all it is time and timing. That's all it is. But would you like? I know, and there's so much power in here. In the title of Come Alive. Overcoming Challenges, Live Your Purpose, Unleash the Real You.
Yeah.
For those of you that are interested, it is on Amazon. You can have it at your doorstep tomorrow when they do that overnight.
It's easier. It's actually easier just order directly from our online shop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you get an autographed copy as well.
Oh, okay. Did you want to? Is that through the Elevation is a Must?
Yeah, elevationIsAMust.com, and then go to the shop page.
Okay. All right. I know you work with. I know you speak all over. Is the one you tend to speak at most? Is it colleges or is it the schools?
It's a mixture. Colleges, universities, as well as conferences, and like we mentioned prior to us going live, many MLM groups, network marketing events, and things of that nature. But primarily, if you want to kind of cut it down as far as where I focus, it's more so colleges and conferences.
Okay. Because I know, as you said, we're mentioning, I mentioned to you, I'm a member of a network marketing group.
Yeah.
And because I already know I'm a serialpreneur. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
I have a little of this, a little. I don't know why that is. I used to try and figure it out. Now I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow. But we all need to be motivated.
Yeah.
Every single day. I don't think there's a day that goes by that we don't need to be motivated. How do you motivate yourself, David?
Well, let me start by saying this. Okay, what I do, of course, there's the label of motivational speaker, but I'm a firm believer that I can't motivate anyone else. Motivation comes from the stemming word motive. In order for you to get excited or enthused, you have to have a motive that you're focused on. What I do is I help individuals focus on that motive. So for me, what gets me excited is understanding the purpose that I have, the impact that I can make, the dreams that I've established, and the life that I potentially live. And knowing that I'm not there yet, that's the only motivation that I need. Like, think about where you want to take your life. And typically, as you have an image or a vision of the future or what could be, typically what happens is that vision excites you. That vision enthusiasm within you. And again, knowing that I'm not there yet, that should really be the only motivation that you need to kind of get that flame spark within you to execute on that goal.
So really is passion is what that is. Your passion.
It's passion. It's having the ability to suspend reality and look beyond what's happening now and see what's possible. It's having the ability to think big. What most people get trapped into is their current situation or their past predicaments or things that are happening in their environment. So it becomes very challenging to visualize possibilities when you're stuck on your problems or you're paralyzed by your past, right? So you have to be able to have the ability to think beyond that and see something bigger and see something brighter for your future, and then connect with it, not just from an intellectual standpoint, but also from an emotional standpoint, where you're tied into this thing. Like I'm emotionally invested in this idea. It's real to me. And every time I think about it, like the hairs on the back of my neck begin to stand up. And that right there influences me to take action.
Well, I can tell you, this we were talking about the app we were on this weekend.
Yeah.
On Clubhouse, and in my profile in Clubhouse, I changed it, and it said, because at the bottom I put down the Mary D. Welch Show, and then I put in parentheses the present day Oprah Winfrey. But I said, "Oh, look, what are you?" I almost wanted to pull it back, and then I said, "You only want to pull it back because you're afraid of what people are going to say about that." I had to have a conversation with me, not with any external. And what you're saying is, really, we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing just this weekend. I was like, oh, I think you're kind of getting out there too much. You're trying to, what are you really saying? The present day Oprah, what are you trying to prove or anything like that? And I said, but if that's how you really feel, then don't be afraid to put it out there.
Yeah.
Be afraid to say it. But I'll be honest, I was doing it to me. There was somebody else doing it. And I think we all do that. We think, am I thinking too much of myself?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it's in many cases, and what you're describing, it goes hand in hand with this statement. It's not who we are that stops us. It's who we think we're not.
Ooh.
And a lot of times what happens is we overlook our potential, we underestimate our capabilities, we neglect our gifts and our talents, and in many cases, we fail to give ourselves the credit that we naturally deserve. It's your divine right to have access to abundance. It's your divine right to live out your God-given purpose. And last time I checked, anything that God makes is beautiful. It's amazing. In fact, when he designed us, he fearfully and wonderfully designed us. So don't shy away from what makes you amazing. Embrace it. And at the end of the day, you have to remember, everybody's going to have an opinion, whether you're doing something good or doing something bad. So you might as well give them something great to talk about. And the last time I checked from a business perspective, someone else's opinion isn't writing your check. You know what I mean? It's a matter of the value that you bring. So if you understand the value that's within you, and then you're serving those that you've been destined and designed to serve in a way that you're adding value to their lives, that's all that really matters.
Well, I can tell you, I guess I did. I did that second guessing. I looked at it and I was like, ooh, what, I did. Nobody's here. Think about it. I'm having a conversation with me. It wasn't anybody outside of me. Nobody had said any. It was me saying, what are you really saying by putting, what are you really saying to the world? What are you really saying to society? And I had to get beyond me and say, it is okay. It is okay. And it's on there right now. And it says the present day Oprah. Yeah. And that's what I am, and probably end up being known as that's gonna be my handle or something. But I realized if I don't believe that, why should anybody else?
Yeah. Belief is critical. It's just like you mentioned. If you don't believe in yourself, then no one else will. And at the end of the day, that's a key component that we all need in order to reach the next level, in order to graduate to new opportunities. You got to believe in yourself to the point that you are an independent thinker, you're self-reliant, and again, like we mentioned, you're self-motivated. And when you mix that with belief, the sky's not even the limit. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can tell you, as you know, that my writing, my book, the books, everything. I've been known to write children's books. That's not the only ones I write, but I do write quite a few children's books. But even that, I never thought I could even do that. I have a friend who's an author, and I'll be honest, what was stifling me, I was comparing myself to her. So here I am coming into the writing arena, had never really written anything, but she has a body of work. Like, I'm not kidding, about 150 books. And so here I keep saying I'm in kindergarten and she has a PhD in writing. And I was making that comparison. She's been writing since she was 13. And when I let that go and realize her journey and your journey are two different journeys, but we do that. We compare ourselves. We think less of ourselves. I know I'm guilty of all this.
Yeah.
Am I good enough? How in your book you talk about that? You said there's a well-known secret. What is the well-known secret?
The well-known secret is that we become what we think.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is us understanding that our thoughts, our words, our self-narrative carries power. It influences us. It shapes our identity. It's reflected in our attitude. It shifts our perspective. It dictates how we behave, how we show up, how we react to life, or even how we respond to life. So it's very important for us to master our thoughts, to be able to manage our emotions effectively. Now, of course, we have over 50,000 thoughts that run through our mind every single day.
Right.
We can't control every single one of those, but what we can do is we can stop those negative ones from controlling us. And we have to begin to look at what we're thinking and how we're feeling and ask ourselves, is this thought taking me to where I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it leaving me stuck? Is it hindering me from moving my life forward? And if we're serious about taking things to the next level, whether it be your career, whether it's in your personal life, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's with your health and your fitness, if you're serious about taking things to the next level, then it behooves us. It's our responsibility to begin to peel away all of the negativity that may be robbing us from experiencing that abundant life. There's an old saying that says, never let anyone or anything with dirty feet run across your mind. Because what happens is it contaminates the space. And when you have a mind that's contaminated with negativity, then what you establish is negative attitude, and negative mindset will never produce a positive life. So we have to understand how important it is for us to monitor our thoughts and align them with the person that we want to become, the things that we want to do, and the life that we want to experience.
Ooh, David. I'm telling you, that's why I listen to you.
For sure.
Because it is a constant. It is a constant to pull back the negativity of it's this bombarding us from all different. It can be something. It can be as small as someone rolling their eyes at you.
Yeah.
It can be as big as someone actually, in your face saying something to you.
Yeah.
Any of those things, but all of the things you say, I'm just like, every single day.
Yeah.
I try to read something positive, watch something positive. We're watching your those are familiar with Periscope. If you're not familiar with Periscope, let me give Periscope a plug. Here, it's an app on your phone. You can download it. It's free. Everybody that's on there is free. You don't pay for anything. It is phenomenal. So if you've never heard of Periscope, you might want to stop and take a look at that. It's on Android and iPhones. And what we were mentioning about the Clubhouse, I think you have to be invited right now to come into that arena. But that's going to open up too. It's going to be huge. It's just a matter of time, but it's brand new. So that's a new app, and I think it's only for iPhone users right now. Do you know?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, it's for. But anyway, I'm just still hearing what you said. I'm like, because it really is telling us, in essence, it's all in our minds.
Yeah, everything is. It's success and failure is really based upon the mindset that you have, right? What one person will look at as a failure, another person will look at as a lesson, as an experience of growth. And that's going to be determined by how you view it, where you're placing your focus. There's three things that we control, okay? We can always control where we place our focus, like what you focus on. And of course, what you focus on, you get more of. So whatever I'm focusing on, I'm going to see more of that in my life. I'm going to experience more in that in my life. As long as I'm controlling my focus and I'm directing it towards success, I'm going to get more success, more positivity, right?
Yeah.
It's like, say, for instance, have you ever purchased a new vehicle, right?
Yes.
And let's say, for instance, Mary, you're riding around in a brand new 2021 Cadillac Escalade, fresh off the lot.
Love it.
You pull it off the lot, and then left and right, you see everybody and their mama that's driving this vehicle. You wake up the next morning, you're on your commute to work or wherever you may be going, you see even more of these 2021 Cadillac Escalade.
Yeah.
And in your mind, you're thinking, well, did everybody have a meeting last night and say, Mary's out there stunting, let's hit up the dealership. I'm gonna get the red one, you get the black one, you get the white one, I want that pearl gray, whatever the case may be. No, that didn't take place. What happened was your focus is now on the Cadillac Escalade because you're associated with it.
Yeah.
You made that purchase.
Yeah.
It's not that everybody and their mama purchased it simultaneously after you got it. It's just now you're aware of it. That's the way our mind works, right? What we focus on, we get more of. You see it now. That's why it's important for us to focus on positivity, because you'll start experiencing more positivity. You'll see new possibilities. Your mind will now be open to greater opportunities.
Oh my
Not only can we control our focus, but we can also control the meaning that we place on every experience that we have. Now, I can't control the meaning of someone else's past, right? But what we can do is we can always adjust that interpretation so that it supports a greater future, right? Like we look at 2020, and many people may say, well, 2020 is cancer because of everything that's been taking place. That's the meaning that they're placing on this year. Someone else may be saying, well, this has been a year of clarity. This has been a year of growth. This is a year of awareness. This is a year of spiritual development. This is a year of a professional shift, right? Because of the meaning and interpretation that they place on it. And then the third thing that we can control, we can always control how we respond to life, what we do.
Yeah.
Life rolls us different cards. When we're hit by different punches, we can always decide what we're going to do in that particular moment. If we can leverage those three key decisions, we'll be in control of the direction of our life, where I place my focus, the meaning that I place in my experiences, and how I respond. I can always find all three of those aspects with where I want to take my life. And therefore, I can stimulate progress and eventually get to where I want to be.
So in other words,
pulls down in the mindset.
What you're really saying, though, is we have the control.
We have the control. We can't control everything in our environment, but what we can control is everything that's happening within us.
And how we respond to those things that happen in our environment that either bring us down or pull us up.
Yeah.
The choice is always ours. I know for a few years I was just down and depressed due to life circumstances. We had multiple deaths in our family. I just couldn't get it together. It was a day it occurred to me that, you know what, you can stay like this forever.
Yeah.
There's no limit to staying like this. But what you have to come to terms with, life is still passing you right by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit here on this sofa right here.
Yeah.
Life is passing you by.
And
but the choice was always mine. And until I knew that, I was so engrossed in, I lost my brother, I lost my mother within a 90-day period. I couldn't, say, oh my God, how can I keep going? To the point I stopped living. But it took a while. I'm gonna be honest. It didn't happen overnight. When I came to terms with life and came to terms with, you only have so much time. It's not like you have an unlimited amount of it. But what are you gonna do with what you have?
Yeah.
But it took a minute. And then that's when I started writing and those kind of things. Oh, thank you, Elaine. And Elaine, thank you for your comments too. I saw your comments. Thank you so much. But it took a while. So I'm going to tell you, those of you, if you've ever been through something, I would even encourage people, get help. If you need help, don't be ashamed. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be. Get the help you need. And I'm saying this because what we fail to see is that this is the one thing, and I'm sure you would agree with this, David, we can never get back, and that is time.
Yeah.
We can't get it back. All that time I sat on that sofa and made an indent, it's gone. I can't get it back. So what I've tried to do now is go forward and make the best of the time I have now.
Yeah. What took place was you were trapped in this emotional slump. And this is a challenge that many people often face, whether it's the emotional slump of fear, grief, pain, stress, the emotional slump of discouragement and frustration, the emotional slump of them doubting themselves, whatever the case may be. What causes this emotional slump is a perpetual thought pattern, okay? We think the same thoughts. If I'm thinking the same thoughts, I'm experiencing the same emotions. Emotions influence my behavior. My behavior creates the outcomes that I experience, and then ultimately my experience in life, which is tied directly to my thinking. So therefore, you create this vicious cycle
Mhm.
that's redundant. And the only way to break the cycle is to initiate with where it begins. It's in the thought process. You have to think bigger and greater than your circumstance. That's the first step to transformation in any aspect of our life. As long as I'm thinking on the same level, I'll never be able to elevate to a higher level. Albert Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. You have to level up your mindset. So, therefore, shift your perspective. Ask yourself a different question. Instead of asking yourself a disempowering question,
Mhm.
ask yourself an empowering question. Like, here's an example of a disempowering question. Why am I the one that has to fail? Why did I lose
Mm.
a loved one? Why am I the
Yeah.
one that's always falling short? The
Yeah.
way that our mind operates in the book of life talks about this: ask and you shall receive. You
Right.
know what I mean? If you want something
Yes.
better or want to receive something greater, ask a greater question. If you
Right.
ask a question for your mind, the mind is going to pursue the answer and seek it out and then find it. It's going to figure
Yeah.
out ways as to why you can't succeed, why you're falling short, why you're a failure. Instead, ask it, what can I do better? How can I
Yeah.
grow from this experience? How can I up level my results by doing something differently? As you put your mind on that pursuit, it's going to seek
Mhm.
out solutions. It's going to seek out answers that will assist you in leveling up your life.
Well, it definitely, you're absolutely right. Because I remember thinking, okay, I can't stay here. But I was in that pity party. That
Yeah.
was in depth. I was having that pity party and we were having a good time. Because I kept saying, well, why I have to lose my brother and my mother? And
Yeah.
why all that, like you said, that why? And so my mind just kept going around and around and around, going nowhere fast. And
Yeah.
couldn't get out of it. That's what was so interesting. Finally, broke out of it. But it wasn't easy. I probably could have done it sooner had I went and sought help during that time. But I kept thinking I could do it without it. And that's not good either. I think sometimes we just need, if you need to talk to someone, that's why I tell people, go get the help.
Yeah.
But be that as it may, now I'm on another whole trajectory and um, tapping into creativity I didn't even know was there. And I thank God that I was able to, I don't know if I could have gotten there any other way, but that learning curve is real too. So I know that when in your book, you talk about what is shaking up the world. What is that all about?
It stems with your belief system. And in the book, I describe, of course, the story of the GOAT, the greatest of all times in the boxing arena, who, of course, is Muhammad Ali, aka Cassius Marcellus Clay. And I describe how, well, to kind of give some context, I started competing as a boxer myself about 13 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, when I first started competing, I wanted to learn as much about the sport as possible so I can be effective in the ring. I can be as great as I can become. I can be one of the greatest competitors, one of the greatest fighters that I potentially could become. So I started studying different fighters. And of course, I came across Muhammad Ali and really was just drawn into his charisma, his confidence, how he said what he meant and he meant what he said, and what he said, he
Mm-hmm.
backed it up and with everything that he did in the ring. And I was drawn to just his energy. And I was watching one of his interviews and he was talking about his fight with Sonny Liston. And for those of us that may not know the history of boxing, Sonny Liston was the individual that Muhammad Ali, the Cassius Clay at the time, defeated to win the heavyweight title. The first time that he received that title, he beat Sonny Liston. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in the 60s, this is 1964,
Mm-hmm.
he's going up against Sonny Liston, who, in many cases, boxing historians have said that Sonny Liston was the meanest in the game ever. I'm talking about, you think about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson talked about how he would be scared of Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was a bona fide gangster, literally. He would
Okay.
he would hurt people in the ring, demolish them, and of course, his activities outside of the ring intimidated other individuals as well. He wasn't one to be played with. So you had this individual. I think he was 21 at the time. They called him the Louisville Lip, coming
Mm-hmm.
in, talking his talk, describing how Sonny Liston is too ugly to be the world's champ. He said, "I'm pretty. I'm a float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Your fist can't
right.
hit, your eyes can't see. Rumble, young man. He had all the different sayings in the poems. But in this particular interview, Mary, he was describing this journey to him winning the heavyweight title. And this is years after this particular event.
Mm-hmm.
And mentioning to the person that was interviewing him that, to be honest, he said, I was terrified of Sonny Liston. He said, I was afraid of him. And they said, really? We couldn't tell. You were so confident.
Yeah.
You spoke with so much conviction.
Uh-huh.
And then what he said stuck with me after that, Mary. He said, it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, that's when amazing things begin to happen. What Muhammad Ali was doing, he wasn't talking to his opponents, he was talking to himself. That's why he says in his quote, I called myself the greatest before I even knew I was. I'm speaking it into existence. I'm calling for things that are not as though they were. And that's a lesson that all of us can learn from, because there may be some underdogs that are tuning into this conversation, some people that have been overlooked for positions, for promotions, some people that have been passed by for opportunities because individuals thought that they weren't good enough, they didn't have the skill set, they weren't qualified, they were lacking credentials. There may be someone that grew up on this side of the track and they feel like they can't have access to a certain lifestyle. What Muhammad Ali demonstrated to us is that when you believe in yourself, and not only just believe in yourself, but you speak that belief with conviction, that becomes a part of your identity. It shapes your attitude. That right there directs how you behave and how you perform. So you can be a one-man army, a one-woman army. It doesn't matter what they throw at you, because you believe in yourself, you can conquer the world.
I love it, David. That's why I listen to you.
Sure.
I'm telling you, because what I do though, I put the earbuds in and I'm walking, and you have no idea. Sometimes I'm walking, I'm like, I can do this. I'm listening to this motive because it gets you going. It gets you, because what the words do it affect. Like you said, he wasn't talking to him, he was talking to himself. He had to convince himself he could beat him. Because think about that. He was scared going in the ring against him.
Yeah. He
was scared, but he couldn't show it.
Yeah.
There was no room for that. There was no room to show, because people died at that time when boxing was going on. People were dying in the ring.
They still do.
I thought they had kind of.
There was actually a few passings last year, and
oh my God! See, I thought because my husband's a boxing fan.
Yeah. Anytime you step into the ring, you step into the perimeter of that ring, you're putting your life at risk. That's why, in many cases, I have so much respect for individuals that step into the ring. And of course, when people see people get knocked down or get knocked out, they're very quick to talk about them. But you have to understand, it takes courage just to step into the ring, just to fight. To know that, hey, I'm going to be fighting in front of this audience. I'm going to be fighting in front of this televised audience. That right there takes courage. I'm going to be taking punches. So therefore, I tip my hat off to any man, any woman that steps into the ring, because that's a courageous move.
It is. Because you're really saying it's life or death now.
Exactly.
Ooh, no, I've never been this. I've been to the gym. I've seen them, but I've never stepped into it.
Yeah.
It's never, but like I said, my husband's a fight fan, and literally every Saturday night he watches the fights. He's always watching fights. But just to know, I thought that it seemed like I would watch them break them up before it got, really.
Now, what you're speaking of, it's not as frequent as it was years ago, because of course, technological advances, of course, doctors and officials step in before things happen. But in some cases, what happens is there may be brain damage that takes place, and then unfortunately someone loses their life because of course, results of a fight. It's tragic, but it's the reality of it.
Right. Well, I know, like I said, that was a concern. We're going to take a second here. We want to make sure that I want to say again, for those of you that haven't came in, this is David's book. It's called Come Alive. And he said, you can go to his website, and it's listed elevationisAmust.com. You can get an autographed copy of his book. That's the best place to get it. Elevation is a must. And I can't thank you for this excellent, excellent read. I'm going to tell you, those of you that are interested in reading about elevating, not just it's your life, it's your career, it's everything.
Yeah.
And it's about your mindset. And I also would like, I always have to introduce my book for those of you. This is Saying No Nicely. And that's for those of you. Now, this is what was told to me. A friend of mine told me, in fact, one of my best friends said, people know how to say no. People, why would you write a book about how to say no? Mm-hmm. And I told her, and I said, no, they don't. She goes, how do you know? I said, because I'm one of those people. I know. And that's what was that was the impetus behind writing the book. And not only that, I teach you how to say no without even using the word no. So those of you that are interested in saying no, you learn how to say no to your boss, to your coworkers, to your family, to your friends, and you do it in such a way that nobody gets their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
I think especially for women, I don't know that men feel the same way. Women, we're really sensitive about hurting people's feelings, so we have a hard time just saying the word no. So I'm going to that with you, with the audience. You get a chance. Well, I can tell you too, David, there's one thing that has, as I mentioned before, has affected my life, and that was the decision. This is the decision to get up off the sofa and on with living. Well, I think it's in Shank Shaw Redemption when he says you have to either get on with living or get on with dying. I don't know if you saw that, and that's probably what I made the decision to get on with living. So in your book, you talk about that, and you talk about the power of a decision. How powerful is a decision?
It's so powerful that literally we are only one decision away from transforming our entire life. And many people fail to see that or realize that or fully comprehend that. But what happens is you can make an executive decision to say, I'm drawing the line here. My life is going to change. I'm disagreeing with being broke. I'm disagreeing with poverty. I'm disagreeing with these miserable emotions. I'm disagreeing with fear. I'm disagreeing with me doubting myself. I'm disagreeing with low self-esteem. I'm disagreeing with me sabotaging my potential. I'm disagreeing with laziness. I'm disagreeing with procrastination. I'm disagreeing with me putting things off. I'm disagreeing with me comparing and contrasting myself with others. The list can go on. You can make a decision to say, today I'm changing. And what often leads most people to change are two components, one of each, okay? Number one is through inspiration, right? We've been talking about this. You see something bigger, you see something greater, you become inspired, you become intrigued. We're naturally curious individuals. So if we see something that stimulates our curiosity and it inspires us, it urges us to seek it, to go after it. I have a dream. I have this idea. I want to experience that. That in itself initiates a decision for us to change and transform our lives.
Right.
In some cases, in many cases, that typically doesn't happen. What typically leads us to change is the second component, not inspiration, but desperation. When you find yourself in a moment where you say enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I know that I'm better than this. I'm greater than this. I wasn't designed for this. I got more out there for me. And when you reach that point, okay, when you get frustrated with your situation, but you know there's something better, that right there is the initial process of transforming your life. Don't run away from it. Okay, what happens in some cases is we get frustrated and upset for just a short while. And then we resort back to the same lifestyle, the same mindset, the same environment, the same group of people, that same relationship that's not good for you, that same sabotaging behavior or habit that's holding you back.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to sit in that emotion and use that as fuel to your fire to say, you know what, there's something bigger out there. There's something better out there. I may have lost my job, but I refuse to be unemployed. I'm going to add value. I'm going to grow. I'm going to develop. I'm going to improve in whatever aspect that I need to get to where I want to be. That's my story. For those of us that may not know, okay, read the book. But essentially what happened was I went from depressed to determined, from unemployed to international speaker. When I got laid off, I made up my mind. I will not stick here. I'm not going to be stuck here. I refuse to be pinned down by my frustration, be pinned down by somebody else not seeing my worth or my value. I'm going to see it within me. I'm going to make the decision that from this day forward,
Mhm.
I'm going to promote myself. I'm going to continue to elevate. I'm going to stay determined. I'm going to be relentless on my pursuit towards excellence. And I'm getting everything that's got my name on it.
I love it.
That's the power of a decision. And the beautiful thing about it, Mary, is this. With all of that being said,
Mhm.
you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most qualified. You don't have to be the most experienced. You don't have to have an Ivy League degree. You don't have to be raised in this neighborhood or that neighborhood, regardless of your skin color, regardless of your amount in your bank account. All you need is you to make the
Woo.
decision. Today I'm doing it. Today I'm
Thank
going.
you, Henrietta. And Inoko, everybody, I think we got some claps on that, David. I'm telling you, that basically every day you have that opportunity. It's a daily thing. It's not.
That's the thing as well, okay? The rent to greatness is due every single 24 hours, okay? If I miss paying my mortgage, Mr. Bankman is going to call me up and say, hey, where's our money? You need to pay the mortgage. Eventually, if you don't pay it, you're going to get evicted. And the same is true as it relates to success. It's due every single day. There's always a conflict. Like we may have a conflict between two wants, two conflicting wants. You want to succeed, but at the same time, you want to be comfortable. You got to make the decision. You want to take your life to the next level, but you find yourself resorting back to your past. You got to make a decision. You want to speak life, but then you continue to echo this negative self-narrative. You got to make a decision. A house divided will never stand, right? You can't have fear and faith in the same household. They won't agree. They're going to tear some stuff up. You got to get one of them out of there. I got to make the decision. This morning when you wake up, okay, you can have positivity or negativity. They can't coexist. You got to make the decision. It's a daily decision that we have to make. But we have to understand the power of it, right? Your life broken down in nature is the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis, right?
Yes.
I talked about this actually this morning on a video that I posted on my Instagram page. If you're sitting around waiting and wondering what the future is going to hold, the future is going to hold whatever you show up with. And what you show up with is determined by what you create today. And what you create today is determined by the decisions that you make. That's what separates those that fall short from their goals and those that succeed. It's the decisions that they make. That's the difference between a Tyler Perry, a Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, individuals that inspire us on a daily basis. They're breathing the same air that we breathe. They put their pants in the same manner that we put our pants on. Right? They drink water just like us. When we cut, they got blood cells just like us. The difference.
24 hours in a day, just like everybody else.
Exactly. And it boils down to the decisions that they make. And we must make successful decisions on a consistent basis. And as we continue to make successful decisions, that's what leads to extraordinary success.
Thank you, Inoko. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can tell you these, and really, I can tell, I don't even know if I told you this, David. Okay, I'm gonna read if I can stay up. Greetings of love and dignity to all from Inoko, crime survivors of justice and safety, Inland Empire. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sometimes they don't stay up, they kind of go really fast.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't even know if you know, 8 years ago, I made a decision. What happened was I retired early. I was a teacher. My principal, to give you a long story, the long short of it. And she tried to convince me to stay. I mean, literally, she goes, you're, why would you leave now? It's, you're doing well, you get a good paycheck. She was giving me all the things I already knew. By then I had prayed about this. Before I hadn't, but this time I had prayed about it. And I said, because there may be, I said, I don't know what else life has for me, but I have to find out. I've got to find out. We only have so much time. And if I keep it was nothing against my job. I love my job.
Yeah.
I knew I had done that job for 30 years. I did not want to leave this earth and then find out there was something else I could have done.
Yeah.
Didn't give myself credit about this before I hadn't. Oh, I heard the echo. All I remember thinking was, I'm gonna tell you the truth, and this is what you're saying. I was scared, David.
Yeah.
Scared. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I did not have it all figured out. I didn't know I was going to be stepping out. I didn't plan my retirement. I didn't have all the pieces in place. I literally stepped out on faith.
Yeah.
I don't know what the world has for me, but I've got to find out.
Yeah.
I was going to be doing lives. I didn't know I was going to do a show. I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
But there was something else. I just didn't know what it was. So I would tell you that decision changed my life.
And what you also mentioned, Mary, if I can kind of like, I guess, commentate your experience and the story that you shared with us, what you're describing is you overcoming that force that stops most people. It's fear.
It is.
There's a quote that says, the fear of failure has stopped more people than failure ever will. Not the failure, it's the fear of it, right? Emotion is the greatest influence of our decisions and what we do on a day-to-day basis, how we behave, how we live our life. And fear is a paralyzing emotion. Fear is a self-centering emotion. Just think about the moments when we're afraid or intimidated. We're focusing in on ourselves, everything that we lack, everything we feel we don't have, all the resources we feel we don't possess. And as we figure or view ourselves from a position of lack, we can't live abundantly, right? So what you're describing is you being able to process that fear and then have courage to confront it. Because what we fear but never face will always control us. And this is what many people fail to realize, okay? You're going to consistently experience that fear until you confront it. It's like bully, right? In many cases, that bully ain't packing no punch. It just knows that you're backing down. You're not going to stand up for yourself. And in many ways, that's how fear operates. The moment that you make, again, the executive decision, I ain't taking no more of this. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try it. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to do something that intimidates me and scares me. You'll figure out who's really in control. And when you take that step and you acquire your power, you take back your personal power, that's when doors of opportunity will begin to open up. I'm right there with you. I was so afraid to speak. I was so afraid to connect with others. I was so afraid to put myself out there. I'm like, I can't even encourage myself. What do you mean, God? I'm designed to speak in front of groups of people. I have nothing of value to say. But it was really just the narrative that I repeated to myself that was stimulated by fear. But the moment in the day, Mary, that I made the executive decision to say, you know what? No longer will I tolerate this emotion of fear. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use that fear constructively. Like you mentioned, I'm afraid of me not living up to my God-given potential. I'm afraid of me not tapping into my greater gifts. I don't want to get to heaven and God say, D1, David, come here. Let me show you what you could have experienced had you had the courage to trust yourself, to believe in yourself, to have enough faith to go after it. These are the lives that you could have impacted. This was the difference that you could have made. This is the lifestyle that you could have experienced had you taken that step.
That's right.
So that one that may be challenged in the area of fear that's tuning into this live or catching this on the replay, hear me clearly on this, write this down, replay this, and let this sink into your subconscious. If you trust yourself now, I promise you, you'll thank yourself later.
I love it.
Trust yourself now. You will thank yourself later. What stimulates and births regret is us not trusting our intuition and going after the things that we really want to go after. Let's not birth regret. Let's instead experience the rewards of having enough courage to confront the fears that try to stop us from living our best life.
Thank you, Inoko. Didn't he say it? Vanessa Robinson, thank you. And then Inoko also, thank you. Because it really is. And even like I said, I can't stress this enough. I did not have all the answers.
And you never will. That's the thing. Most people think that all the stars need to be aligned. You think that all the bases need to be touched and stones need to be turned over. You want all your T's crossed and your I's dotted. No. Listen, when you look at people that are operating at the top of their game, elevating to new heights, understand this. Many people are making it up along the way. Nobody has it all figured out, okay? What we're doing is we're rolling with the punches, maintaining a positive mindset, being strategic about the steps that we are taking, and most importantly, remaining determined to achieve success.
Oh, it's no doubt. Because I'll be honest too. I would tell you, this is what I learned from that one experience. I actually said this to myself. What if I do this? I would, like I said, retire and find out there was nothing.
Yeah.
I said it would be over. I'd be well with my soul. At least I took the opportunity to find out.
Yeah.
That alone was so important to me. I had to find out, because as long as I stayed, I would never find out. I couldn't balance working full time and doing the things I couldn't do both. It was really had to choose. And it's nothing against working full time. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression. It's nothing against it.
It just wasn't for you.
It wasn't. Well, after 30 years, it wasn't for me. I could tell. It was like, okay, you've done 30 years here. Why don't you try and find? I didn't even know how creative I really was, because I never give myself a chance to find out. And that was the one thing I would tell anybody. You may be able to do it and work full time and all those things. I couldn't, but if you can, that's fine. But I would never, number one, encourage anybody to leave their job. I would never do that, because you got to do what's right for you. That's what I said. But after I had prayed about it, and like you said, and I didn't tell you the first part of that whole conversation. When a principal first approached me at the mailroom, I was getting my mail. She said, "I heard a rumor that you're retiring." You know what I told her then? I said, "No, I'm not retiring." That is how fast fear has set into me. At that mailroom, I said, "Oh no, I'm not retiring." She said, "Well, I heard a rumor." I said, "No, I'm not retiring." Fear, that false evidence appearing real, had set in. I had to go to the Lord in prayer to get that spirit off of me.
Yeah.
And then when I went back to her, it was a week later, and she said, "Are you going to come back in here and change your mind?" I said, "I promise you I won't." But by now, my courage, because I knew that God was with me, it was you couldn't tell me anything then, because it wasn't about me doing it. I knew that that God was with me to do it. I wasn't just in by myself doing it, trying to figure it out. It's like, but it took all that fear. So fear is real. I don't care what anybody says.
And let me give the viewers this practical step that they can take to overcome a situation like that. If you're conflicted, if you're afraid, if you're intimidated of the unknown, the uncertain, and the unknown, or whatever may be challenging that you're looking to enter into, what happens is, and you've mentioned this, when we are experiencing fear, we're focusing on everything that can go wrong. And this is part of our human nature. Like, we talk about this in our Dream Catchers Mastermind, right? The subconscious conditioning that we have to focus on everything that is wrong. Like, this is something that has been programmed within our minds all the way back to our childhood. Like, think about when you're in school and you have an assignment that you turn into your teacher. The teacher marks all of those that are wrong with a bright red X, right? Instead of marking those that you have right with a bright green check mark. You know, we're focused on the negative. We're focused on our failures, and our negative experiences often have very high emotional impacts on each and every single one of us, right? And that conditions us to lock in on everything that's wrong. Shift the perspective by not asking yourself, what can go wrong? But like you mentioned, Mary, what can go right? What can go right with the situation? How can my life be better if I make this decision? What can I experience that will be greater than what I'm currently experiencing? What are the things that can go right? How can my life be enhanced? What are the successes that I can acquire and experience if I make the decision to go for it? Focus on that. And this reminds me, of course, the great leader, the iconic civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. In one of his sermons, he was describing that same scenario of him stepping into this role of leading the civil rights movement. And he asked himself, man, are you really going to do this? The fear creeping in. He shifted the conversation and said, I asked myself, not what happens if I do, take on this role? Because remember, he's getting death threats, bombing his
Yes.
home, putting his family at risk, putting
Right.
his congregation at risk. His mind was asking, why should I take this on? What's going to happen if I take this on? If I take this role, if I'm this leader,
Right.
how is that going to threaten my family? He
Right.
shifted the conversation by asking himself, if I don't do it, what's going to happen? If I don't do it, generations after me, they may be in a worse off situation than we are here in the 60s. If I don't do it, how many people are going to get hung and lynched if I don't do it? What are the impacts, the negative consequences that can occur if I don't do it? Shifting the conversation in your head will help you overcome any emotion that you're experiencing.
Woo. And you're right, because you experience them. I'll tell you, it's real. It almost feels like an entity, you know, that is hovering over you, or this
energy. It is emotion. It's
don't do it.
Energy and emotion.
And anybody that says that they, to get past it, like I said, from the day I told her, first I told her, no, I wasn't going to retire, until I prayed about it and went back to her a week later.
Yeah.
By then, the Holy Spirit in me was bigger than the fear.
Yeah.
Now I did it I didn't even hesitate. There was no hesitation. That's one thing I noticed too. When you have that antsiness stuff, that's when you're really undecided. It's indecisive. But when you really set your mind and decide it and set your mind in it, it changes everything.
Yeah.
It changes everything. It's like everything. But I don't have to tell you, the universe moves around. That's what I always say. And it's helping. It's like, okay, now I can't, because it can't work with that indecisiveness.
Yeah.
But when you are steadfast, like international speaker, you weren't an international speaker always.
No.
But when you set your mind to it and you are convicted in that, and you're, you just know in your heart, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Doors have been opening.
Man, absolutely.
I can tell you. Well, I can tell you now, we're almost to the end of our program. Before we do, David, I'd like for you to have any last words for our audience, because the audience, I'm sure many of you, this is powerful. You can see David. You can go to YouTube. You can go on Facebook and Periscope for sure, and the social media. But before you know it, you're going to see him on these live stages too. But I'm going to give you this last word, David.
I guess the last word that I will give, my brother from another mother, Dwayne Terry, and he's a part of our mastermind and our Dream Catchers community. He coined this statement, and I talked about this during today's broadcast. It's live ready. Live ready. Stay ready, be ready, so you don't have to get ready. Always be in position, because you may not see it now. The opportunity may not be readily available to you now. It may look dark and challenging now, but sooner than later, your opportunity is coming. It's going to present itself. You got to seize that moment. You got to strike while the iron is hot. And if you are sitting around gathering yourself together, trying to put the pieces to the puzzle together, when the opportunity presents itself, you're going to miss that opportunity. There's an old saying that says opportunities of a lifetime must be seized in that lifetime of the opportunity. So therefore, in order to seize it, you got to be ready. Feel free to connect with me at @1 Gibson on all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, like Mary said, Periscope, as well as those that are viewing this on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/David Gibson. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Every single morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're live with our Dream Catchers Worldwide broadcast. Visit the website as you see on the screen now, elevationisaMust.com. Got free resources readily available for each and every single one of you to help you develop a successful mindset. Just a plethora of different content that will assist you in leveling up your life. So be sure to connect.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you. Thank you, David. And do you promise to come back and spend some more time with us?
All you got to do is give me the invitation, Mary.
Well, thank you.
The ball's on your court.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is our broadcast for today. We'd like to thank you for coming out and spending some time with us. We just wanted to I'll show you David's book one more time.
Oh, yes, and that's available on the website as well. So be sure to order your copy.
Please grab that book. Thank you. We'll see you again next Monday, a week from now. And next Monday is Ernest Thomas from What's Happening. He is the guest on the show. See you next Monday. Bye-bye. Okay.